Hey guys, so this is sort of another bullshit episode of Blackpill literature. Matt, take out everything from "it's not really on" in the last one. But yeah, it's not really that bullshitty, but it's actually quite amazing. I realized that our culture has steadily shifted, at least in the literature realm, but I think in like most media, and I mean the media has shifted because we can point to uh, perhaps these perhaps these were their own sort of mavericks of the time, but we can point to how The Great Gatsby and The Sun Also Rises, as I said in my top five Black Pill literature books episode, um, talked against this kind of shit. But we have finally come to a time in our history where um, the literature now celebrates exactly the kind of careless people and exactly the kind of drunkards and frivolous people that were celebrated in, or no, that were criticized in those two books that I mentioned, The Sun Also Rises and The Great Gatsby. I mean, let's just think of some examples. We've got Bridesmaids, big example of, it's like, well, it's an example of like women going crazy just like the men, but it's a big example of a very funny comedy movie, but with a bunch of very, very careless people. And it's like, well, Matt, if you're gonna look at comedy movies, people have been careless for a long time. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. I think in the early 2000s, you had, and maybe the late 1990s with some of the teen movies, but I think in the early 2000s was sort of the Judd Apatow, whom I like. I like the Judd Apatow movies actually, but you have all these Judd Apatow movies and similar kinds of movies where it's sort of like a group of kind of underachievers who are kind of laughing and joking about just not really giving a shit. And that somehow, somewhere became our culture. That somehow, somewhere, some way became the culture. It's quite easy to see elsewhere as well. What with rap music, and I'm a big fan of rap. I could probably name more rappers and rap albums and more rap lyrics than most people in the world actually. Than most people in the world. I'm in the top 50%. I'm at least in the top 50% of knowing stuff. I would imagine I'm at least in the top 50% of being able to name stuff about rap and rap culture. But with rap, you had a lot of people, even the better artists, celebrating this kind of debauchery and this kind of bullshit lifestyle. And some of them, like for example, Eminem, well, at least Eminem anyway, telling you, as he did in his song Venom, that he ruined your lives and probably he ruined your life and probably your parents' lives too. You're Eddie Brock and he's the suit. That's what it is. And it's what is it? It's all this debauchery. It's all this I don't care about morals. Eminem has a great line, and I think just don't give a fuck. Snorting, extorting, snorting, supporting abortion, pathological liar, blowing shit out of proportion. Extorting, snorting, supporting abortion, pathological liar, blowing shit out of proportion. Does that not sound like exactly the fucking current culture? Extorting in terms of, demanding more government, demanding more money being taken from you, government or otherwise, actually, but demanding money being taken from other people by force for whatever you want. That's the whole idea of government. At least government that's not like a king, quote unquote, kingship or something. It still is, more or less. It works the same way, right? It's the orders come down and you follow them, right? But extorting, okay, and then snorting. Well, there you go, snorting. That's your Brave New World. Get high, fuck around, whatever. Like have a bunch of sex, whatever. Who cares about the consequences? Hedonism lifestyle. That's your whole thing. And that is, snorting. It's like snorting could stand in for anything, but snorting cocaine in this case. But it's any kind of vices, any kind of addictions, any kind of stuff that dulls you so that they can go on controlling you and you just go on following them because you get your little treats. And then he says, support an abortion. It's like, okay, well, there you go. Literally supporting the murder of the most innocent people on earth. And he says that in the context of all these other, like, horrific things. And it's like, you think Eminem doesn't have an idea what he's talking about? I mean, he's clearly making himself out to be like this horrible kind of menace. And in these menacing things, there you have it, supporting the killing of babies as sort of an offshoot in many ways of the hedonism of the snorting part, or that could be pointed towards that. So extorting, snorting, supporting abortion, pathological liar, blowing shit out of proportion. Okay, so you have the liar part in terms of people who just don't give a shit about the truth, and that's most people, but certainly people, you get into the classic political argument of the, 2010s, 2020s, where it's just somebody just sort of yells talking points at you and they're not listening to what you're saying, and no matter what you say, they're just going to hit you with something else rather than ever admit something or like maybe try to get to the bottom of something with you. So that's pathological liar, because they're just, they don't really give a shit about what the truth is. They're just going with whatever they've been told, lying or not. And then blowing shit out of proportion. Blowing shit out of proportion. Whoa, what is the liberal archetype? Blowing shit out of proportion. Oh, Donald Trump said this. Oh my God. Oh, this happened. Oh my God. And it's actually not them blowing shit out of proportion. It's the news telling them this is horrible. It's really the news blowing shit out of proportion. Whatever sources they get their talking points from blowing shit out of proportion, and then they go along with it. But that Eminem line tells you like the whole fucking culture basically. And then he goes on to say in Venom, Eddie Brock is you and I'm the suit. There you go. Eddie Brock being the guy who apparently gets taken over by this sort of symbiote suit in Spider-Man, where it kind of takes over his body. I don't know much about it. I know the word, I guess, but symbiote suit. But it takes over his body, and it's sort of like the evil version of evil kind of Spider-Man, like sort of a foil to Spider-Man's superhero.